12 tips and tricks to prepare your car for winter. Starting with your tires, you're always going to want to check the tire pressure. Because in the cold, when you live in a cold climate or in the winter, the air contracts in your tires. So you're going to always want to add some extra air in there to increase your tire pressure what it should be. If you don't know your tire pressure, check the wall of your tire around here and you'll be able to find what PSI to pump it up to. Another important part of your tires is having the right type of tire. Now in the winter or any cold climate, you're going to want to either have all-weather tires or winter tires because they hold a lot more traction. Summer tires will give you almost no grip and they're very dangerous to drive on. So these are all-weather tires and they have grip like this with smaller grooves in here for more traction. And if you get winter tires, these will be all over the place, small slits to cover more surface area and get you better traction. Going around to your trunk, if you have a rear-wheel drive car, you're always going to want to keep sandbags in the back during the winter. You can buy these at any home improvement store, Home Depot, Menards, and there's 70-pound bags you put over each rear tire and it helps keep traction, especially if you have a rear-wheel drive car. Also in your trunk or back seat, you're going to want to keep a scraper with a brush on the end for loose snow, and on the other end has a scraper for ice if you need to get off your rear window or front window. Now going under the hood, there's two things you should always have and make sure you have plenty of in the winter. Number one is your battery should always have a strong charge on it. In the winter, since it's cold, it cools down the acids in the battery and makes it less powerful, so it's harder to crank your engine and start it up in the winter. So always make sure your battery's charged. Also under your hood, you're always going to want to make sure you have enough antifreeze in your engine to make sure nothing freezes. And you always want to check the container to make sure you have the right mixture depending on what kind of engine and how cold it gets in your area. Now going to your windshield wipers, you're always going to want to make sure you get winter windshield wipers. There is a difference. They're a lot more, their material, the rubber they're made out of, doesn't freeze as easily, so they stay flexible in the cold and helps push off the ice and snow much easier. And also, if you keep your car outside, it's important to do this to keep your windshield wipers from freezing to your windshield. You're going to always want to flip them up like this. All cars do this. Flip your windshield wipers up so they also do not freeze to your windshield. A good way in the winter to keep your windshield from staying defogged is you can go to your parts store, again, auto parts store, any parts store, and you can look for a windshield defogger spray, and it's pretty much a spray you spray on there, keeps it from fogging. You reapply it every once in a while to keep it from doing that. But a hack you can do is use shaving cream. You spread it all over the front of your windshield, and it'll also help keep your windshield from fogging up. This is another tip if you're going to keep your car outside. If you want to make sure your locks don't freeze, you can go to your auto parts store or any place like that, and they'll have a lock de-icer or a lock ice preventer where you put the nozzle in your lock and you squeeze it a couple times and it kind of lubricates the lock in there and keeps it from freezing, so you don't have to thaw it out or anything. You'll be able to get in your car easily. In the winter, it's always a good idea to keep your gas above the quarter tank full mark. It doesn't happen as often anymore, but it can. If you don't have enough gas in your tank, it could possibly freeze in your pump or your lines, and it will prevent you from starting your car. This is an important tip for any time of the year, but especially in winter. When you start up your car will idle at above 1,000 RPMs. Now, when your car warms up, it should be at the 600 mark. This is in any car. So when you start your car, this may take a few minutes, depending on how cold it is. Right now, my car says it's 33 degrees outside, but you're going to want to wait till your rev limiter goes down to the 600 mark to start up your car. This is important to keep everything warm to warm up your oil and everything, to make sure it gets through all your parts. So when you're in the winter, you definitely want to make sure you give your car enough time to warm up. When driving on the roads, you're always going to want to watch out for salt trucks, especially if you have a nice car. If you see a salt truck, you'd never want to pass it or get too close, because the salts that it's throwing off the back of its car is bad for your paint. So always watch out for those. That's going to be the final tip for today. Always be safe while driving in the winter. When it's snowy out, don't drive too fast. Watch for ice spots, and I hope everyone has a safe winter, and I'll see you on the next video.